Sure, the Jakiro, Phoenix, and Clockwork might be a little bit annoying for the PA, but I doubt it's too big of an issue if they wanted to run it, and they do.
Oh,
Well done,
love it.
John. You're off to a good
Love it.
start today. I love to see it.
It's a Filipino stack, you get the slaughter, those Pinoys will want the PA. So it comes out, they just want to jump at you, they want to play aggressive. Have to watch out for that magic damage here. Jakiro's really annoying, Phoenix as well. They've
Yep.
got a good combination here for new esports. Clockwork this is not something we see too often anymore, but it used to be big back in the day. You land that macro power when you get the hook shot, cogs initiation, people are gonna die. So
Yep.
it's a solid one there. It does mean either the Phoenix or the Clock is our core here, Mike. Performance of either in the offlane has been okay. It is also not as common, so that's something new esports has to be aware of as they go into the laning phase. Just getting that initial farm and EXP for whatever ends up being their offlane.
It's going to be a very interesting one. Final banouts now. Execration. They're looking to just ban out mid laners here for new esports, and they do get rid of the Zeus to start, and now the Puck. Both heroes that deal well with the PA, and obviously the Puck does lock down heroes very nicely, so the Lifestealer can't get kited. New esports.
The one thing I worry about here for Execration is when Rage is up, they have nothing that naturally just blocks that lifesteal in place. Slaughter Bash, I believe, still pierces spell immunity, right? So there is that. It's a consistent way. You're going to have to get in there and right-click and hope you're not going to be disabled. So a big part here for Execration. On top of that, maybe the blink time for the Slaughter depends if they prioritize it with a Tiny in the pool, but the BKB has to come out in a timely manner just to ensure that the lifestealer doesn't get that opportunity to just really get control in the fights. You can always get your right clicks to get the bash. That's going to be important here.
Okay. Well, as Execration, they need a mid pickup. All the Void Spirit Lina being removed here, but Execration, they'll go for the safety and the quap. That's fair enough. Just a very aggressive way to finish this off, and obviously it's just the safe pick. It doesn't lose mid lane very often, the Queen of Pain.
Oh, yeah.
What do you want if you're a new esports side here, though? Like, maybe a Storm mid could work?
Yeah, that would be really nice. You don't have the best lockdown here for new esports to keep those heroes in place, and Ember would be decent as well. Earth Spirit, I would prefer the other two. Those are the options.
Of course you would, John.
It's not the most natural. You don't have Grimstroke, unfortunately. I think that's the best case scenario for like an Earth Spirit core when you have a Grim support just to pile on your initiation. So it's easier to follow up. In this case, not there. One thing to note as well, that should be a Carl Quap, right? Like that should be Carl down mid, although he keeps changing his name. I can't keep track. New esports do go with the Ember. So there's your vehicle for the lifestealer. There's your mid lane matchup. Decent timings. Team fight is still looking pretty good for new esports overall. They have to space that egg out perfectly, so they have to be very aware. Candy has to be on point with where he does commit the egg. Of course, it does look like that means offlane Phoenix in this case. I do prefer that over 4 o'clock. I think you would as well, just because Phoenix with farm does have a different path compared to Sport Phoenix. So new esports draft, you're gonna have to play with that team fight. Egg placing, very important. Execration, have to be careful about the early control. Like, especially that PA can melt to the magic damage. BKB timings are key. Beyond that, it's actually a Carl Slardar. Huh.
Oh, okay. So Raging Potato going to take the offlane Queen of Pain. So he's going to be up against DDZ's Ember Spirit, and it looks like he doesn't want the Quap. I guess the Slaughter does have a much better time up against the Ember mid, but the thing is that should mean Yamate shouldn't really be struggling on that lifestealer. I thought that was the whole point of the Slaughter, is to just dominate the lane with the lifestealer, but that's not really going to be the case now. You can still do some nice work on the Quap, but with that Rage up, you should just be fine.
I think the one thing you're going for here is Rage for lifestealers, and we've seen this through the past few lifestealer games, right? You don't get it until level 3, and its level 1 cooldown is pretty long. Its uptime isn't great. That is something a Quap can kind of abuse. And if you think about the Slaughter versus Lifestealer, if you are trading right clicks, you are a strength hero in the Slaughter. So Lifestealer can rip through you if he invests in Feast. So you have to be cautious. I think that's the main takeaway for that. They're hoping that this will force maybe a bit of a different skill buildup for that Lifestealer, and if Yamate opts for that, it's going to offset his early start that Lifestealers tend to want to go for.
Absolutely. Let's see how it pans out. Game number one. Game number one of the whole day, in fact. Queen, Execration, and new Esports. Now I'm going to start off with a very a quick pause. Nothing too new here.
Oh, you know what? I was having this issue right before we went, like in the lobby. For some reason, my game just dropped to like 5 FPS. And I know there was an update to fix lobbies, because apparently there were lobby issues earlier this morning. But I'm not sure what's up with that. Like, hopefully it stays up, Mike. You know how it is, beta game.
My FPS has been struggling ever since the Battle Pass came out. I don't know why, but it's, I don't know. It is a beta game. We'll just have patience, John. Someday we'll be out of beta. Someday.
One can dream, I mean, look at us here, asking for a Mortar Treasure Tree while we're still in beta. I don't know what the community's upset about. It's a beta game. Be glad we even have had.
Yeah, it's not like we, raised $36 million for a prize pool. That's nothing like that.
No. Definitely not. Still,
you know what? I would forgive Valve if there was an Earth Spirit Immortal in that Treasure 3.
Of course you would.
Release the Earth Spirit Immortal, and all will be forgiven. Valve, we will forget about the wait.
Well, Mike, what if it wasn't a good Immortal?
John,
what if it just wasn't good?
Quite frankly, we'll take anything right now as the Earth Spirit plays. We're not in the business of complaining. So, good or bad, just send it through. We'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, it's better than nothing still. Gonna be interesting to see these lanes. Not gonna be an easy time for Palas. Taking a look at that Clockwork Phoenix dual lane up against a PA. Early levels aren't gonna be fun. You're gonna have to be very patient with how you blink strike out. It's gonna be very defensive for Palos. Probably gonna have to play a lot with those daggers as well. So there's a lot of opportunities here for new Esports. Candy can opt to play a bit more aggressive. Barry can find himself a bit further front to get the damage done. He does actually go for the Quelling Blade Winley. So Barry's playing the core clock. And Candy's on...
No, I don't think so. No.
He's just chopping trees, of course.
Yeah. He's just getting those trees down against the tree. I was going to say, if it's core clock, this lane's lost for sure. It's just no point in having a core clockwork here up against the PA tree. And I actually love the fact that they did switch up the Phoenix to be the position 3 role. Because getting that magic damage up against the PA is going to be very effective once you get to that mid game.
Oh yeah, and it's a melee hero. You don't like playing into those fire spirits, so Palos has to be very cautious about that spacing out. Barry with the tree cuts, look at RR. He's in an awkward position. He can't play on this left side. He'll have to work his way to the right if he wants to keep that harassment up.
Oh, it's really well done by Barry. Of course, we'll have a look over to the mid lane now. DDZ and Carl going to be up against each other on the Slaughter and Ember. And this is going to be a pretty hard matchup for DDZ, right? Even as the levels go up until you hit level 6, this lane should be pretty unlaneable for DDZ.
Oh yeah, it's a tough one. You saw what happens when Carl just commits for the right click, gets the bash off. Once you're level 3 or level 4 on Carl, the damage that comes out of Silverine from that follow-up stun is pretty devastating. So DDZ is going to have to watch his spacing. Flame Guard's not going to block all of that damage, and going to be a key timing around that bounty ring, with those supports.
A great first blood out from Barry there down at the bot lane. It was just Candyloon and Barry abusing RR, and he had no trees to hide in. So he was just out in the open, and it was a very, very simple kill to take.
Yeah, and that's the power of this lane. Early match time, they're going again.
They don't have the fire spirits right now, so Barry may have overextended here and does go down. Yeah, he does give the my bad over. Candyloon now going to have to cop a fair bit of harassment, but look, mid lane, DDZ being stunned up, trying to salve, and will go down to Carl, who will then get his own salve off. Execration getting a 2-1 lead this game, number 1.
Yeah, and that's at level 4 spike for Carl. Level 2 in the bash. Got 1 point in the Guardian Sprint. He can close the gap. He can get the right clicks off. Ember, as a melee core, has to watch that spacing. You can't allow a Slardar to just hit you like that. You're not going to win the right click trade.
Carl, it's a bit out of range for that stun. Trying to get the range creep, but did miss out. Of course, the one lane we haven't really looked at yet either. The top lane, where Raging is making a jump in onto Mosin. You've also got Yamate there on your POS1 Lifestealer, and BDZ on the position for Tiny. Just roaming around, trying to make it hard for Mosin to get anything done in this lane, but it looks like Mosin will be pretty safe and just fine. Overall, each lane seems to be going decently, in my opinion, for Execration, if anything.
Yeah, the one lane that's going a bit slow is that Raging Potato lane. The Quap is at 10 last hits. It's not slowing Yamate down. This is what we talk about from the laning phase. You see Yamate did opt for 1 level in Rage, but has managed to invest in the Feast and the Open Wound. So his farm's going along swimmingly. The presence of Raging hasn't been amazing. Have to be a bit cautious about how much space they give Yamate.
Well, he gets
that early farm.
He went for the Scream build, right? Up against the Rage of Yamate not wanting to get the Shadow Strike. I think with the Scream build, you are a bit more limited to how dominant you can be in lane. But he doesn't really have a choice, because Rage will just cancel the Shadow Strike immediately.
Yeah, I think if you are looking to play that way, Shadow Strike, if you do invest in it, has a lower cooldown, much more uptime. And it's not like Lifestealer has the best of mana pools to keep spamming Rage. Consistent cooldown as you invest. So it's just a bit of a trade-off. This does mean Raging can farm a bit faster, so he's going to have a way of catching up from the slower start if he gets his jungle.
Very true. So you see BDZ in the mid lane now with an Invis Rune, just trying to find DDZ, but he's going to be farming that double stack he made for himself with the small camp. Meanwhile, Raging Potato gets very, very low, being chased down by Mosin. He's just trying to pull the creep wave and sort out the equilibrium in this lane, but he's not really going to be able to farm this while Mosin's chasing, but it looks like Mosin will let it go at the T2 tower. And Raging, he's already so close to the fountain, he may as well run down.
Yeah, given Mosin the opportunity to grab the bounty rune though, so it's going to be a 2-for-2 trade. Really nice deep ward as well coming out here for new Esports. Makes it a bit more complicated for Execration if they start stacking those camps up. You've got an Ember in the opposite team, he can easily clear those out if you're not careful.
That he can. DDZ completely giving up on the lane now. Just permanently jungling at the moment. Unless I suppose the creeps are at his tier 1 tower, in which case he will run back, but there's absolutely 0 point in him being in that mid lane up against that Slardar, who is just going to dominate him. Of course, he is going to find himself behind in XP while he is jungling, as it is a very slow process for the Ember, especially when you don't have Flame Guard up. Luckily for him, Flame Guard is a pretty low cooldown, so he can just stack and spam it. But it is still a slower process.
Yeah, it's not what you want from the Ember. He's still doing fantastic overall, considering that laning start. Severely behind, though. So the catch-up has to come out. He needs that first item ready. He's going to have to buy that space for Yamate. Lifestealer timings, they can go fast with an early armlet, but they would prefer a couple of items first.
Harry, bot lane. He's going to be able to run out of range of RR. Only level 1 Nature's Grasp. Not going to hold him down too long. Top lane, BDZ. Gonna have to go for a TP out on the Tiny as Raging tries to go for a kill after Mosin. He does manage to get the Jakiro kill, but now a great rotation in from DDZ, and he does have level 1 chains available to be able to cancel off that TP of Raging. That's a great rotation out from DDZ on the Ember.
Yeah, they get a nice kill out for DDZ. That's gonna help him bounce a bit back. Successful first rotation out for our Ember. You start to look at Carl, he's been sitting at his level 6 with a haze for a while. They might want to make use of that as soon as Palos hits 6, but PA damage it's just a very strange one. Her level 6 spike isn't as big as you'd want, so it's going to take a bit longer for that Corrosive Haze combination to really kick in.
It is. As well as that, you can't really rotate to the Phoenix right now, because he's always going to be able to Icarus dive away anyway. So there's no real point trying to go for Candylune at the moment. suppose if he does use the Icarus dive, you could make the rotation in, but until then, it's a bit of a rough ask. He does go for the max in the Q and W, so not actually opting for any points in Sunray yet, which is generally how you play it if you are playing Core Phoenix. So they are going to make a dive onto Palos, but he's going to be able to blink out. Now, Egg going to be committed in Yamate. Also going to show himself on the Lifestealer. Palos going to be hit by that stun of the Egg. And now open wounds are out from Yamate. Still more rotations coming in. They're trying to fight this one out. It's a two-man stun from Carl, but Infest is there on Candyloon from our Lifestealer. But Candy is in big, big trouble. He does not have the Icarus Dive left. He will go down. Now Raging, also rotating in, but can't really stop Yamate, but perhaps Carl can with a great toss in from BDZ. And Yamate is also going to die in the Lifestealer.
Ooh, that is not how you want that first egg to go. They dive deep. They look like they could take Palos, but Palos lives true. They don't get the follow-up damage. The group up from Execration, their commitment to save their PA paying off massively. New Esports going to have to lick their wounds here, regroup, try to build up. That does give DDZ some space, but that early rotation for Yamate is costly. He doesn't even have Armlet up. That's going to slow down his progression and farm.
That it is. You don't want to be in that position when you do have a or rather a Slider on the other side of the map. So Carl will take full advantage of a no-farm Lifestealer. Carl is actually going to rotate up towards that top lane now in the Slider. Mosen's the only one there on the Jakiro, but he seems to have spotted out that they are here, so he's going to TP back down bot. And that'll be the signal New Esports send out to just say we're trading these tier 1 towers, but mid lane, DDZ almost getting a pick off there onto Raging Potato. Ultimately will not be able to finish the job off and does have to run away.
Yeah, it's going to be a successful push for New Esports. They've got steady push with the Jakiro. That's the one ace up the sleeve here for New. RR is going to have to put the work in to really defend this one with the living armor.
They are. They are trying. RR, he's going to go ahead and pull away the creep wave and just delay the push from happening. But it is still very, very difficult to do so. So there is so much commitment here from New Esports. And that's the one way you can get through these T1 towers up against the Treant. You just commit your whole team and you get the job done ASAP. You don't leave it halfway.
No. And it does go down. The push for Execration up top a lot slower. Palos hits hard, but he doesn't hit hard against buildings. And that is something you're going to have to wait out for. Maybe a Desolator down the line will help the cause, but none of these heroes particularly melt any of these buildings.
Big group up mid. DDZ almost trying to bait them in here from Execration's end, but now they're going to get a bit impatient, but DDZ got the chains there, but Mosen was not in range for the Ice Path. Well now, Hookshot is going to be out onto Carl. It's going to be a huge pickoff if they can get it. They'll even commit the egg to make sure Carl can knock it away, and he will not. Yamate able to pick up that kill, or rather Barry does. It's a big one to get.
Yeah, that's the biggest target on the map, so a nice network swing there for New Esports. It opens up certain ways of playing in his bot jungle as well. They've gotten deep wards here. Very safe for them to play farming games here, and Execration not quite set to regain control. So they're surrendering that bot jungle. They have to play elsewhere. They are playing on the opposite side of the map, and that progress we're looking for in Palos is steady. He's going into that Fury, although mid again, still trying on Raging.
They are. I don't seeing them being able to kill him though, not without like some chain stuns. New Esports, I think they understand this. They'll just let it go for now. It is still very, very early to try and get that mid-tier 1 tower pushed in anyway. But perhaps they don't feel confident going into the late game up against the PA Slider. So it is going to get quite painful for them. They're still grouped up mid, but I just don't think they're going to get anything out of this, so they might rotate top. can see Palos. I mean, he's blurred right now, but you can kind of tell he's farming the top lane. He's just going to back off, back towards his triangle, and they ping the area around Palos, but they're not actually going to make the rotation.
No, it's going to be a slower pace for both sides. You're both just waiting out for these key items. Yamate does have his armlet, though, so there's some opportunities to go with the infest place on the clock, and they are smoked with Barry.
They are. Huge kill on Palos if they can get it. Barry gonna get vision. Needs an angle for that hook shot, but can't get it because of these neutral creeps. But no, he gets one. Very, very tight angle there from Barry, and Palos does go down, but a nice sonic wave out from Raging. It's not going to be enough, however. Raging is also going to fall. They're going for even more now. Tiny, BDZ getting caught out. That should be a very easy pick up here for Yamate and Barry. Yamate will be able to take it on that lifestealer.
And it's that timing, you know. Armlet's up on Yamate. They just go for the kills. They've got the natural infest carriers. Really nice pickoffs to get. Still slowing down Palos' progression towards that Battle Fury. I mean, his farm's still up there, but every single second that BF is delayed is more time your farm's just not up to snuff and your damage isn't up to snuff.
It's quite a while away as well. Like, it's not really that close, all things considered. It's really not great news for the side of Execration, as they are very reliant on that. Carl's just gonna kind of have to wait for his PA to be ready to be able to actually get this combo activated.
Yeah, it's gonna be a while. You do have good progress for Carl, though. I think they're gonna be riding on the momentum. He'll bring 200 gold off the blink. So Slardar Blink gonna be a big one. You can play around with Raging as well. He can come in for the burst damage to help you follow up, and that's gonna be how Execration has to buy the space. They just need to maybe find a couple of pickoffs with that combination. Maybe wait out BDZ's blink as well, but that's pretty optional with a Slardar.
Cool. Bounty Rune's going to spawn up. Hook shot in from Barry, right onto BDZ. He'll get him in the cogs as well. There's Yamate with the damage output, and they do get one. Now Raging. He blinked into them once again on the quap, and is going to pay for it. With that DDZ, he's looking for a bit more. They're going to spot out RR, but he's TPing. They need a cancellation, but the Ice Path not going to be out in time, and RR will be able to get away with his life intact, but well, you still lost two heroes here for Execration. It's just not great news.
It's definitely not. And this is the one beauty as well of the new Esports draft. They've got pretty low cooldowns. Everything except Egg really just doesn't take too long to be back, so they can keep playing this aggressive. They've gotten space to push that tier 1 top. Tree and Protector, you know, he's supposed to stall these pushes out. Not that much slower than you'd expect. He's spamming it out, but there's a siege creep. Yamate hits like a truck. They're just going to lose these first few towers. They're going to have to try to stave off that push if they want to stall out.
We're going to be careful. Carl going to TP in, but a nice ice path from Mosen. Still BDZ on the chase. Carl, he's going to miss the stun, but they have got the Jakiro now. Candy might want to fight back here. The Sunray is out trying to help on this Jakiro. Yamate, meanwhile, going to turn around onto BDZ, and another nice egg coming out from our Phoenix. Barry, he's going to miss the hook shot on Carl. It looks like they don't realize Carl's still there, so he's going to jump back in onto Yamate, but this may have been a bad idea, as Yamate is hitting way too hard, and they are going to keep chasing. They know he's in the tree line. In fact, Raging also caught out, will go down, and now Carl is gone. No way out on that Slardar. Every team fight Execration takes just continues to work in the favor of new esports.
The execution of Execration is just not going all too well. It looked like they were bailing out, you know, like they managed to get Raging out. Carl was just hiding in the tree line, but they come back in. They're not respecting the power here from new esports. There's just a lot of damage, low cooldowns, a lot of uptime. So if you try to re-engage, you can bet a couple of those spells are going to be back up and ready to go.
He doesn't want to die like this, John. Palos is in danger, but Overgrowth going to be committed by RR. And it looks like Barry's going to be left behind. Now Raging can have a go at DDZ. Has one remnant and will commit it to get out of there. Does also pop the drums, but Raging wants to keep going. We'll eventually have to let him go. And it was a very deep dive to try for New Esports, and they do have to sacrifice their clockwork for nothing.
Yeah, you have to be cautious about bleeding kills like that away, especially if Palos finds them. He does have the Battle Fury up, and this is the point where the PA farm skyrockets. BKB's going to be next, and try to lock him in.
Oh, Raging's gone. Chains and Ice Path once again out from Mosin and DDZ. That is, it's been a tough game for Raging on this Queen of Pain offlane. He has died in unfortunate ways, and with his death, that mid-tier 1 tower is set to drop.
Yeah, no defense for that one. It's a wait and see game for Execration. They just need a BKB up in their PA. We've seen PAs bounce massively back once the BKB timing's lined up. You have to hope, though, that Yamate is not going to find an MKB in that downtime. If the BKB lines up with the Lifestealer MKB, it's not going to do you much good. The control is still going to be there. The damage is still going to be there. Have to be cautious and have to really just focus in on the farm. Try just stay away from fights for Palos. Stay safe.
It's getting problematic, though. I mean, you talked about the MKB on that Lifestealer. He has it up soon. Somewhat. I mean, he's still a fair bit of gold off, but there's your Javelin now coming out on Yamate. Still top of the net worth board on this Lifestealer, and if things keep up as they have been, well, like this, Palos is going to get caught, does use the blur, but he's been Ice Path and in the macro pyre and has no one to blink to. They just abandon it. BDZ not sticking around for the blink strike out. What's your position 1 gone again?
That's not what you want to be seeing. His BKB should still come first compared to that MKB, so it's not going to be too bad, but it's still a very rough time. There's not that big of a window where you're going to have the BKB without the MKB in play. You're going to need to be cautious. There's a disarm up as well. On
nice
Yamate,
hook shot.
Ooh.
Yeah, they got RR. Well, that's going to be 20-minute bounty runes as well. Going to the way of New Esports. I believe they've gotten all 4 of them, in fact. They have. That's a big influx of gold.
Yeah, it widens that lead to 6K for New Esports, 7-14 at the 20-minute mark, and Execration. And we talked about the potency of Slardar PA. It's still potent. They just need to play as a team. They need to protect Palos, give him these stacks, which he's finding. Once the BKB is up, you have to smoke. You have to go for that smoke play. But look at this. Barry sees that farm.
Big disconnection out from Execration, however. 4 heroes disconnecting at the same time.
Oh, boy. Not a good spot, Mike.
No.
Barry sees that. They've got a lot of heroes in that triangle.
Yeah, it's a tough one for Palos. He's going to reconnect and maybe not realize that that he has been pinged out. Luckily for him, though, Barry does not have the hook shot available. So there's no real way to close the gap here. So I don't believe... Yeah, DDZ is not in range to get a good remnant off. Palos should be okay to blink strike back to BDZ. They may still lose that tier 2 tower up at that top lane, as it does seem like Yamate wants to commit. So it might be a little bit early from New Esports to commit, considering they are still working towards that MKB. But he might just feel very confident with that Heaven's Halberd and Armlet up right now. Just understanding Palos melts so quick to the control without a BKB up. But he does have the gold for it.
Yeah, it's going to be out. So you do have to be aware of that power spike that's going to come out. There are certain aspects here for the PA that aren't nice, though. So the PA will not really enjoy building into an MKB, but you're not going to have a choice because that evasion now in Yamate is just going to be a bit more annoying. You want your damage to be...
What the f just happened?
What? Carl? What's that? What is that, Carl?
No swearing, Carl. Jeez, we're on stream, sir. No cussing. The connections are back. Things are still coming out for Palos, but I really don't believe they'll be able to get up there with him. There's just no way to close the gap here. Surely not.
No, they've got a haste on DDZ, but
What the
not enough
just
time.
happened?
Unless BDZ walks away and leaves Palace alone, that would be a dicey situation. If he just decides to tap the blink, go home. Right, I'm out. You're on your own, Palace. Not what you want, though. That's not the... Don't do that.
I mean, he could. He did do it when they were chasing him down at the bot
Yeah,
lane.
that's true. That's true. Not ideal, but we are ready to go, so we'll find out. Yeah.
DDZ. He's not going to pop the haste. And yeah, Palos is out of there. He's fine. The question is now, do new esports want to make this push happen? BDZ going to show himself for a second, but does blink away, and for new, do appear to want to try.
It's important to just push as much as you can. You're dealing with a Treant that doesn't have Meteor Hammer, so the split push game isn't quite there for Execration. That's your window. Because the towers will heal up, sure, but you're not receiving the same pressure on lanes. That's what's important. And that just means, you know, you can stall all you want, but if you're not making progress of your own on towers, it doesn't really matter.
The rune of haste.
Raging. We're going to spot out DDZ running past, but he does have that haste rune active right now. Bit of a hard kill to go for. Raging, he just blinked and they saw it. Got another one up. Blinks straight into Candy Loon now. Candy can't hold him down, but they're going to go down towards that bot lane where a great hook shot is there from Barry. Right onto Palos, and DDZ going to be there to back him up with the chains. They lose Mosen across the map, but who cares about that? You got the PA again.
Not good news for Execration. Just losing Palace like this is never a good feeling. Always just in the wrong spot. Surprised they ignored the top jungle, because no one plays there. Not even new esports. That's the safest part of the map for Execration. They just haven't gotten the wards there.
Raging. Conked up. And Remnants forward from DDZ. They'll get the chains. Does have a blink back up and has the Yules available. Should be just fine. You do need the hookshot follow-up from Barry to really lock down Raging. As it stands, new esports, 6k net worth lead. Everything's still going swimmingly for them. And the MKB is soon to come out on Yamate, probably about a minute away at max.
And that's where it gets scary if you're the PA. You're gonna be ripped apart by the lifesteal, and that's that awkward timing between these two. And it's something that's always been awkward for the PA lifestealer. Like, there's a moment where PA is super strong, and then there's a moment when the lifestealer is absolutely wrecking face, and it's a very sensitive back and forth. We'll have to see how it unfolds. You still have the corrosive play that can come out, and there is a smoke here from Execration.
There is an infest out on Barry. They seem to know, and they'll counter smoke. They do scan out one. That's going to be Palos in the blur on the PA. Barry loses courier. That was the Solar Crest going down. And now they'll go. Macro is out. Nice hook shot in, but the egg has been committed from our Phoenix, and nobody is going to focus it down. So new esports, they can keep rushing in after BDZ now. And that'll be your Tiny gone. They just can't fight back.
No. They didn't get the opening they wanted. Their smoke broke, but they were forced to jump in. That was the 10-second BKB charge of Palos. Not the best use of the item. And they don't lose their biggest cores in Carl and Palos, but they lose Raging Potato, they lose their two supports. They start to lose their tier 2 top. No, it is gone. And new esports, they're the ones running the Treant. They still have 2 outer towers, but the progress new esports have made on the map is a cause of concern, right? Like, there's that MKB now as well. So you've got the damage, you've got the wave piercing through that evasion on Yamate, the power spike on our PA. I'm not sure how long you can really expect it to be relevant.
Well, Roshan's going to get down very, very quickly here. Because they have Barry there with the medallion to make things faster, but they aren't going to finish as side of Execration were coming in. Roshan very low. They'd love to get a pick off right now to confirm this Roshan play.
This should make my life easier.
No, they're going to go back in. They're going to try and steal it. Just finish it ASAP. It's going to be in Palos. BDZ. Going to jump in. An avalanche. They need to go quick. And Carl is in, but Yamate has the Aegis. And that'll be Carl probably going down to the slider. And now RR also going to be chased by DDZ. And everyone else from Execration is just on the run. A good attempt from Carl, but it does not pay off.
Didn't really line up as well. He has his BKB now, but he needed it in that fight if he wanted to steal. Barry as well, very good spot to hook in. Broke off the potential initiation of the Treant and the PA, not giving that overgrowth. Just not quite the execution you want from Execration. That does give New Esports the chance to push these tier 2s, and that they will. They're just going to be able to shove it in. They've got DDZ shoving in the other waves that Raging is trying to keep out. And that means if they wanted to, at some point, New Esports can start to look at that high ground.
They'll get started. Again, with that Solar Crest up, it does make it very easy for Yamate to just go through these towers. You'll see BDZ. He's there just creep skipping at the moment, trying to make it harder for this mid lane to be pushed in. New Esports, they can take their time. They've got an 8k net worth lead. It's only 26 minutes into the game. They might even try to go for some kills soon as Raging continues to just blink around the map. They'll take the outpost. Raging, gotta be careful. DDZ, he just spotted him out barely, but they're not gonna be able to keep up with Raging. He'll be fine.
Yeah, this is giving time here for pilots to finish up that Desolator on PA, so it's going to be up. You're going to have a lot of minus armor coming up. You're going to have level 3 coup de grace soon, about half a level away. And those are some things that you definitely have to wait. Don't force the fights right now while you don't have that level 3 ult, while you don't have that desert. You need it. You need damage to really find at least a couple of key kills. The supports, if you take out the Phoenix, for example, before the fight breaks out, you don't have to worry about the egg. Those are important targets for Execration to try to get the jump on.
Bot lane, they're going to try and force this push to happen. 2 Desos, in fact, coming out. Now, DDZ has one on the Ember. They just want to amplify this push. Make it that much quicker. Make it that much harder for this Creed to get this defense going. Well, Carl going to jump in for a double stun. Yamate has the Aegis. He's feeling very confident. Palos going to be there. They're actually going to force back the side of New Esports for now. Yamate was getting a little bit low there on the lifestealer. Doesn't want to just feed the Aegis away. But the tower was on such low HP, I don't really think you want to leave it like this. It's just going to be healed up to the max if it is, and they are looking for a way in.
Yeah, you don't want to give it a chance for the Treant to keep healing it up. A lot of caution though, and this is where it gets annoying. You know, it's basically like you have a repair kit. In fact, if they had a repair kit, they'd be better off.
Naturally. Toss back onto Yamate, but he does get the rage up in time. Still stun and Sonic Wave being thrown up, but Barry gets a good hook shot in. There goes your Aegis, but RR is going to drop, and so does Raging Potato. They will buy back on all 3 heroes that did die. Now back onto Yamate. He is very low, but does get the invest off in time. Still a nice avalanche toss onto DDZ. They want to try and clean up. Barry as well on the run of the clockwork. Should go down, and does. But DDZ, he's actually got no remnants available. So they might actually be able to catch up to him. But no, Raging doesn't seem to know where he is. The Ember Lifestealer will be okay.
Yeah, not the biggest losses for New Esports. They did force 3 buybacks out. They got the tier 3. So they got the objective they were looking for. You know, it's always a uphill battle when you're playing against that, although
he went in for the 30-minute bounty rune, and again, Can't blink in like that without vision.
No. Greedy. It's how many times has he actually died in that exact area in the triangle? It's been a lot where he's just kind of playing there and gets punished. So not ideal. Still Execration are in a decent spot. They didn't lose racks. They still have the Treant to play around with that. They're looking for the...
Oh, Barry. Hook shot in onto BDZ. BDZ made it a little bit obvious that he was in that tree line. With those two heroes down, John, they don't have buyback, which does mean Yamate, with his brand new AC up, should be able to get this bottom push going again.
Yeah, it's going to be a really quick one as well. You've got a lot more damage coming out. You've got the control, and it's tricky. They're trying to split up top, but, you know, DDZ just clears it out, and then they're already at bot. There are no buybacks left, remember?
There are not. We're going to make quick work of this. Well, Execration, no defense to come out. So new, they might just go to the mid lane now, understanding they're getting all this for free. They feel confident enough for this. Raging's being a little bit annoying here, pulling the creep wave away. Barry is looking for a hookshot opportunity, but Raging should be too far away, and is now. But they want to get the kill on the Quap. They are posturing around the Queen of Pain, and Raging blinking in. Yamate spots him out now with the Rocket Flare. Doesn't really have an Abyssal Blade yet, but a great hook shot in from Barry. He TP'd back to that bot tier 1 tower, and Raging is going to die.
Oh man, Carl now as well.
He's going to try and fight this one out. Palos, he's going to jump in as well with the BKB, but a nice path out from Mosen. Now the egg to be committed. How do you fight into this? Palos, he does get DDZ, but it may cost him. Mosen will get the Yules off, and they should have control with the ice path to kill off Palos, and now chase down Carl on the Slardar. And they will. Nice stun out from Carl, but it's not going to matter. Even BDZ still being chased down by our position 5 Jakiro. Mosen just trying to get the creep wave back into the Radiant base. They are going to go for another big push.
Yeah, excellent win for New Esports. Unfortunate that they had to lose DDZ, but you can see the power disparity between Yamate and Palos. Like, they're equal in farm. But Yamate's got one step up, right? He's got the MKB, plus he has evasion from his talent, from his Heaven's Halberd, from that Solar Crest, and there's no MKB in Palos. So even if he did stand and fight, he would lose because he would not hit, and Yamate would get all of his in. So mid rack's gone, can set their sights onto the top racks, no problem, and the options here for Execration, it's shrinking. They're going to need to pull off a pretty good team fight to keep that defense up.
Well, they're going to take their time here, New Esports. Again, no rush for them. So you still have room to grow for Yamate. He does have the Abyssal being worked on as we speak, and that's really the nail in the coffin, right? Once you've got the Abyssal Blade, you finally got the control to lock down Palos whenever you want and not get kited around. And I just don't see a way Execration has to deal with this.
They've got to be able to jump those heroes first. They need to take the control of New Esports out. They need to take the egg out. Good luck, Barry.
Yeah, Carl, he get jumped on. Barry is going to be there with the hook shot. Carl, even with the BKB, going to have to just make a run for it. Looks like he is going to be okay. But this is just kind of what we've been, what Execration have to do now is just keep split pushing. It's not fun, but it does buy you more time. Oh, matters are still getting worse though. Candyloon has a refresher orb now. So you got double egg to worry about and triple of all the other spells.
Yeah, it's that's not gonna be a good time. Even the Ags is up and running for DDZ, so he's gonna be a lot more mobile on that Ember. You do have the Satanic up in Palos, so it's slightly trickier to keep him locked in. And he will have some burst healing available if he just stands and fight. But the Abyssal, as you mentioned, coming out for Yamte is going to be big. You got the Vanguard first when he's blocking some damage off. It just makes it harder and harder to flex your muscle as a PA. There's just so much durability here from new Esports that even a Corrosive Haze doesn't feel like it's enough.
Well, he has the Divine Rapier queued up now on Palos, but even then I don't think that's enough. To be honest with you, it doesn't seem like the damage is the problem. It
No.
seems like staying alive is going to be the main issue here for Palos. And, well, mid lane raging. It's gone. He's doing what he can,
good.
but yeah, he's not working out.
Nothing good. 3 to 10 on the Quap. And he does get the sacrificial lanes. This does fit into Raging's playstyle, right? He sacrifices himself as a core to give Palos space. It's not looking good though. Like, he's severely underfarmed. He does have the Guardian Greaves, the Urn, and the Duels. So he has some ways of keeping himself alive, but it's not gonna help as the Roche just melts way too fast in new Esports. Aegis and Cheese going away now, so 2 lives up. Execration, 1 less set of racks. They've got to play this one perfect.
If they do, back to that top lane. Just so hard to imagine being able to deal with this this Refresher Orb Phoenix and even the Aghanim Scepter DDZ now on the Ember. It's going to be much, much harder to catch out. Yamate just going to happily go up to that high ground. All about buying more time. He's got a lot of damage, Palos, but he just doesn't have a chance to get that damage out. He's going to try to blink in onto Yamate. Again, it's a lot of damage. Ice Path, however, he's been locked in. Remnant forward, they missed the hook shot from Barry, but they get a nice toss back. In fact, that was actually BDZ tossing Palos in. A nice overgrowth to lock them all down, but DDZ does not care. He'll go after BDZ and RR, both without buyback. And now after the final lane of Barracks, in fact, there's the chains out onto Palos. You get your Sonic Wave from Raging Potato, but it's not going to matter. Palos is going to fall, and he does not have buyback available. They are still going to try and defend this in a 3v4.
It's a difficult proposition. Just not enough. Like, again, you saw it, you said it. Damage isn't the issue. It's staying alive. And there's that Basher now for Yamte. I believe that is the full Abyssal as well once it's there. So gotta be cautious about that in this defense.
They're just going to go taste Raging Potato down. Yamate is the only one hitting the tier 4 towers at the moment. They're actually going to avalanche toss. Yamate, he'll be okay. Hookshot in from Barry. Hit easy. Finish off that one tier 4. Carl now going to get slowed up with the Abyssal out from Yamate. BKB up, goes back after the lifestealer. In fact, a nice toss back onto Yamate, but he is just too tanky. He will not tie to the fountain. Gets the infest, and now we'll just get a free reset. And Raging is going to jump back in. The DDZ will follow. Gets the chains off, and that'll be your Raging Potato gone. And RR with a dieback, and now they're just diving the fountain. BDZ, it's not very safe. Will survive, but that Ancient is very, very low. Yamate's just going to pop the Rage. He's had enough. He gets the Abyssal onto Raging one more time. Gets the kill on the Quap, and then gets the GG call out from the side of Execration. And new Esports will get game number 1.
Oh yeah, that is breaking the mold there for this matchup. We talked about it from the draft, but these two teams have played against each other before 2 series that were heavily Execration favorite. It doesn't look that way today. New Esports, they run a draft that's really exciting. Execration did as well, but the execution fell flat. New Esports did come out as the better team, and we'll see if that changes in game number 2.
We shall. Game number 2 will be coming up in about 10 minutes. It's MLP on JohnXfire, and we'll see you in that time.